Hello, my name is METİN Arıdaşır. This is 267th part of explanation of my theory. According to my theory and my formulas, the fall of quantum model atom picture and theory, new atom picture against fallacious quantum atom picture, the fall of quantum atom picture and theory, new atom electron picture and theory of Arıdaşır. Mine. Today, I will talk about the wrongness of the explanation under the names of effective nuclear charge and shielding effect in multielectron atoms, and I will talk about how they do not lead to conclusions in determining the spectral lines values of multielectron atoms. In the following, right side, left side mine, right side quote from MIT open courseware instructors Elizabeth Vogel Taylor Catherine Drennan YouTube. Here, right side, quote from MIT lectures. Here. Okay. In the following quote from MIT YouTube lessons, notice the incorrect formulas of accepted physics theories regarding helium. Yes, the electrons mentioned in this quote are point particles that are indistinguishable from each other, dimensionless, and have the same energy value in an atom represents, I'm so sorry. Yes, the electrons again mentioned in this quote are point particles that are indistinguishable from each other, dimensionless, and have the same mass, and the locations of these electrons in atoms are not certain. There are attractive, this is important, according to accepted physics wrong theories, there are attractive electrostatic forces between nucleus and electrons and repulsive electrostatic forces between electrons, and the shielding effect is an explanation about cancelling out these forces, which makes the nuclear charge diverge. Whereas this is not the case according to me. Electron motion forms in an atom are spherical ring-shaped cyclical motion forms. They have dimensions. Each proton-bound electron motion form has a different specific wavelength, radius. Each proton-bound electron motion form has different initial mass and energy. Each proton-bound electron motion form has a certain location. There are no attractive or repulsive electrostatic forces between nucleus and electrons in the context of action at a distance. electrons don't revolve around nucleus, proton-bound electron motion forms. By the way, proton-bound electron motion forms go on their cyclical motion at their initial specific wavelength. Say this is ground state of them. As I told you before, there are different movement abilities of each electron in atoms. Why are the spectral lines of each atom unique? If all electrons in atoms had the same characteristics, would these specific spectral lines occur? Of course no. Each of different characteristics spectral lines of different atoms produced by dominant specific wavelength sized electrons in that atom. As a result of the calculations I made according to my theory and my formulas, I discerned that the electron with the smallest wavelength is the most dominant electron that produces most of the characteristic spectral lines specific to an atom. According to my calculations, of course, some electrons in an atom with different wavelengths were also producing some of the spectral lines. And don't forget, proton bonds cannot produce light unless free electron motion forms successive waves affect them. They cannot do that, and I have told you before this mechanism before. Yes. The reason for the formation of different characteristic spectral lines specific to each atom is that the electrons in each atom have different wavelengths and different volumes. According to me, each ionization, this is important, according to me, each ionization energy value in an atom represents a different wavelength sized at rest electron motion form. So, for instance, in helium atom, there are two ionization energies and each of them corresponds different initial undisturbed wavelength sized proton bound electron motion form. First one, ionization energy is 3.94 10 to the minus 18 joules, corresponds to lambda wavelength 1, 50.44 nanometer initial wavelength sized proton bound electron motion form in a helium atom. And second one, i.e. yes. First one, equal to 3.939 10 to the minus 18 joules to what? 8.7186 10 to the minus corresponds what? Lambda 1 50.44 nanometer, lambda 2 22.8 nanometer. Yes. By the way, according to my theory and my formulas, almost completely I have computed and I have predicted according to my theory and my formula This is helium atom spectral lines. Right side, my calculations. Left side, NIST data. National Institute of Standards and Technology, experimental, observational, measurement results. Right side, my computation, line by line, you can check here. And here. Two different wavelength size electron motion forms determined these spectral lines according to my energy formulas. Look at that. Yes. Yes. First one, ionization energy 3.93 10 to the minus 18 joule, corresponding 50.44 nanometer wavelength size, Ritter sized electron motion form, and the other 8.71 10 to the minus 18 joule corresponds smallest wavelength electron motion form in helium atom, that 22.8 nanometer. These two wavelength size electron motion forms, under the effects of different numbers, free electron motion form successive waves effects, they make these lines, spectral lines. Okay. Yes. If I hadn't found, for instance, these two wavelength codes in nature, I wouldn't have predicted these precise results you see. These are results that the quantum theory could never have predicted. Quantum theory faces at that end regarding the multielectron atoms, and this theory couldn't overcome Bohr's theory that single electron atom limited also. And Bohr's atom theory is wrong also. In fact, our universe's most common wavelength size kind electrons have 91.155 nanometer in all known atoms when they are free or when they are connected with a single proton to make hydrogen. But there is a relation between proton number Z and hence wavelength of, but there is a relation between proton number and 91.155 nanometer wavelength sized electron that I saw and that I formulated as these. For smallest wavelength sized electron motion forms that I put for these formulas, my formulas. Yes. And there are some principles that I put forward. Here, look at that. This is single proton. This is 91.155 nanometer wavelength size electron motion form hydrogen. Okay. helium, yes, and one, end of the proton chain, 5 proton, yes, wait a moment, 6 proton, which one? I forget. Which atom 6 has 6 proton? Carbon? No. Yes. Whatever. This is the principle. The first electron that connects with the first or last link of proton chain shrinks in inverse proportion to the square of the number of protons. Okay. Like what? Like this, number of proton. If Z is equal to 1, smallest wavelength is 91.155 nanometer. If Z is 2, okay, like helium, 91.155 divided by 2 square, this is 22.8 nanometer wavelength size, smallest electron, shrinks, okay. Again, this is important. The first electron that connects with the first or last link of proton chain shrinks in inverse proportion to the square of the number of protons. And this electron will always be the smallest electron in a multi-electron atom. Every added proton to a multi-electron atom will cause this electron to shrink in inverse proportion to the square of total proton number. Okay? Like this. Single proton. When we add a new proton, this electron motion form shrinks. First linked, first connected electron, this proton to this proton chain, one side shrinks in inverse proportion of proton number. Okay? Yes, eventually, if you compare what I told you and what I showed you and these right side explanations, you will easily see these calculations are wrong. Have a good night. See you later.